The pond had been part of the property long before the subdivision was built, a quiet stretch of water framed by tall trees and soft grass that had grown wild over decades. Its calm surface reflected the sky in perfect clarity, undisturbed by the comings and goings of the neighborhood beyond the fence. The land belonged to the homeowner, legally and entirely, and had been meticulously documented over generations. Surveys, deeds, and maps confirmed ownership that no HOA could contest. That afternoon, a small barbecue was underway. A few folding chairs were scattered around the pond. The grill released a thin, savory smoke that drifted upward, and a gentle breeze stirred the water. Nothing excessive, nothing loud, just the quiet hum of a peaceful gathering. Yet that simple scene was enough to trigger the instincts of Karen, the neighborhood's self-appointed enforcer of order. From the edge of the subdivision, Karen watched the gathering like a hawk. To her, the barbecue represented defiance. The smoke represented chaos. The laughter represented disorder. She did not stop to confirm boundaries or ownership. She did not pause to check deeds or surveys. In her mind, authority was assumed, and compliance was expected. With a determined look, she reached for her phone, ready to call the cops and assert the HOA's imagined control. Karen's confidence was built on repetition. Over years, she had learned that fear and intimidation often worked better than law. Residents would comply out of exhaustion or apprehension. In her mind, her authority was indisputable. Her phone call was a routine escalation. She framed the complaint meticulously: smoke, noise, gatherings too close to homes. She implied disruption, omitting the crucial fact that this land was private, outside HOA jurisdiction. The homeowners continued as if nothing had happened. They had anticipated this kind of interference. Surveys, professional maps, and clearly marked boundaries were all in place. The pond was legally insulated from the HOA's reach. While Karen walked away to place the call, the grill continued to crackle, the pond shimmered under the sun, and the gathering remained calm, entirely lawful. 9 minutes. That was all it took. When the patrol car arrived, Karen returned to the edge of the property. Her posture was rigid, her arms crossed, her phone poised. Authority had arrived, or so she assumed. The officers approached slowly, their movements calm and measured. They examined the pond, the grill, the spacing, and the boundary markers. They asked for documentation. The homeowners provided it immediately: deeds, surveys, and maps that left no room for interpretation. The officers compared the information with county records and the physical markers embedded in the ground. Karen began her familiar speech: HOA rules, community standards, and the alleged disturbance. She gestured toward the pond, the smoke, the laughter. The officers listened patiently, asking simple factual questions. How far was the gathering from HOA land? Who owned the property? Were there permits required? Each question pointed back to one undeniable fact: the land was private and fully outside HOA authority. Karen's confidence faltered. Her call to the cops, intended to enforce control, instead summoned clarity, precision, and legal validation for the homeowners. The officers' attention turned to the HOA's alleged jurisdiction. Signs placed on private land, prior warnings issued without authority, footpaths assumed to be communal, all were meticulously documented. The officers photographed everything, noting discrepancies between what Karen believed and what the law required. Karen tried to argue. She claimed smoke, noise, and disruption. The officers countered with facts: wind direction, distance, contained gatherings, and documented boundaries. Each argument she presented crumbled instantly under scrutiny. Her voice grew sharper, but authority had shifted away from volume and confidence to law and evidence. The barbecue resumed without interruption. Grill smoke continued to rise gently. The pond reflected sunlight as if nothing unusual had occurred. Karen, meanwhile, was slowly realizing that she had triggered a process that would strip her of assumed control. The officers asked Karen a direct question: "Are you aware this property is outside your HOA boundary?" She hesitated. The pause was fatal. She admitted she had assumed authority and had issued prior warnings without confirming boundaries. The officers documented everything. Her admission revealed a pattern of overreach and misuse of power. With the property clearly defined, the officers issued guidance: any future interference by the HOA would constitute trespassing. Any attempt to assert authority outside the boundaries could have legal consequences. Karen's assumed control had evaporated entirely in mere minutes. The homeowners returned to their activities, now fully validated. The pond remained calm, the grill smoked steadily, and conversations continued undisturbed. Word of the incident spread quickly among neighbors. The HOA board began to reassess Karen's approach. Legal counsel confirmed the property's status: entirely outside HOA control. Signage was corrected, maps updated, and any enforcement on the pond property officially prohibited. The gathering had become a turning point. It wasn't about food or smoke, it was about authority, boundaries, and the rule of law. Karen's reputation for intimidation diminished as she realized her power relied solely on compliance, not legality. The homeowners resumed their normal routines. BBQs, fishing, and pondside relaxation continued uninterrupted. Karen no longer approached the boundary. Her phone calls ceased. The HOA, now aware of the limits of its reach, adjusted its strategies and communication. The pond grill and land were safe once more. Peace returned, not through compromise, but through law and clear documentation. In the weeks following, the HOA acknowledged in writing that the pond property was permanently excluded from its jurisdiction. Any future interference would constitute harassment. Karen's prior warnings and fines were rendered invalid. The boundaries, once questioned, were now firm and legally binding. The neighborhood learned a critical lesson: authority exists only within lawful limits. Even minor activities continued with confidence. No further calls, no intimidation, no surprises. The grill smoke, children playing, and late afternoons by the pond became routine. Karen's absence reinforced the new understanding: lawful authority is stronger than assumed control. Karen attempted to rally the HOA board to her side, framing the event as protecting the neighborhood. The board reviewed police reports and documentation, realizing the limits of HOA power. Her influence diminished quickly. Neighbors began speaking openly. Fear that had once dictated compliance dissipated under clarity and legal validation. The pond remained serene. BBQs and fishing trips returned to normal. Lawful authority had replaced intimidation. The neighborhood adjusted to reality. The HOA had no power here, and Karen had no recourse. Documentation and clear property lines solidified the homeowner's rights. Any future attempts at interference by the HOA would be met with legal action. Karen's phone calls were ignored. Boundaries were respected and enforced. The pond became symbolic, a demonstration of property rights, law over entitlement, and the futility of intimidation. Karen's assumed authority disappeared entirely. Peaceful gatherings resumed as a regular feature of life on the land. The HOA adjusted its communications and removed all signs from the property. Future disputes were rendered impossible by legal clarity and documented boundaries. The land returned to what it had always been: fully private and protected. 9 minutes had been enough. 9 minutes and clear documentation ended years of assumed authority. The pond reflected sunsets peacefully. Grill smoke rose lazily. Homeowners celebrated quietly, knowing the HOA had been removed from their land permanently. Authority, boundaries, and law had prevailed. The pond remained untouched, a symbol of rightful ownership, calm persistence, and the power of preparation over entitlement.